Emily Dickinson is arguably America's greatest poet. Born in 1830 in Amherst, Massachusetts, she died in 1886 in the same home where she was born. And as Dickinson aged, she lived an increasingly reclusive life, and toward its end, she rarely left her room. But today, her poems echo the poet's powerful voice throughout the world. Dickinson is America's poet of death and transcendence. No, she is not a follower of Emerson, nor a philosophical transcendentalist, as was Walt Whitman. Instead, Dickinson writes about a metaphysical or spiritual world beyond the physical world of the five senses. For Dickinson, our visible world is only one aspect of the world of meaning and existence around us. For such reasons, Dickinson's poems often find themselves in churches, in sick rooms, at deathbeds, or at funeral homes and grave sites. People long to hear her insights about life and death when they need to face the fact of death. Some months ago, an elderly friend of mine found herself in awful physical condition. She had had diabetes for many years, but illness and heart problems compounded her difficulties. She had come to the point of needing regular dialysis. Then she had fallen and broken her hip, becoming bedridden. She found herself in constant pain, and she needed pain medication for relief both day and night. There was no hope for eventual recovery, just the prospect of patching up her body until it could no longer be fixed. So she decided to end her daily dialysis and pass from life on her own terms. I visited her the day after she made her decision and brought Emily Dickinson with me. I read to her the poem, "The Heart Asks Pleasure First." Here are the short 8 lines. The heart asks pleasure first, and then excuse from pain, and then those little anodynes that deaden suffering, and then to go to sleep, and then, if it should be, the will of its inquisitor, the liberty to die. In these lines, Dickinson takes us from vibrant, active living for pleasure, to wanting to die. What separates these two opposite ends of the poem are pain and drugs and the desire for sleep, even permanent sleep. Dickinson writes of pain in one poem. Pain has an element of blank. It cannot recollect when it began, or if there were a day when it was not. It has no future but itself. Its infinite realms contain its past, enlightened to perceive new periods of pain. My friend didn't commit suicide. She just stopped the special interventions that had left her physically unable to die. And as she knew, at some point, the heart asks for the liberty to die. My friend and I talked for some time until she was too tired to talk any more about life or even to listen to any more Dickinson poems. I left that afternoon and several days later got the news that she had passed. For Dickinson, passing from life to death is transition, and it is a normal, natural process. Unlike Edgar Allan Poe, who almost always depicts death as something horrific, something to be feared, something to run away from, Emily Dickinson portrays death as a friend, a companion, a guide, a suitor, or a driver. She doesn't glorify death, but she confronts it with serenity and hope. Let's look at another of her poems, which has been titled by readers, "Because I Could Not Stop for Death." Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too, for his civility. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun, or rather he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tool. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. Emily Dickinson reminds us that we all face death. This reality should inform our lives without crippling life in any way. But as the Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca said, it takes the whole of life to learn how to live. And what will perhaps make you wonder more, it takes the whole of life to learn how to die. Emily Dickinson can help us learn how to live and learn how to face our own mortality. Maybe that's why she's America's greatest poet.